CFO Playbook by CEO East Africa Magazine in association with ACCA Uganda and Deloitte.
Hello, good people. Welcome to the CFO Playbook by the CEO East Africa Magazine. This is a show where we delve into the journey to financial leadership. We look at the finance profession in general, the changing landscape, the trends, the challenges, the opportunities as told by the people who make it happen, the CFOs. My name is Muhereza Kyamutetera, but you can call me Cham. If you have issues, call me Kyamutetera. And I'm the executive editor of the East Africa Magazine. And of course, I'm also to say this particular season of the show is brought to us by ACCA Uganda and Deloitte Uganda, who are the proud partners of the CFO Awards. And of course, we've also been lucky enough to have other partners with us this particular time who are co-sponsoring the awards. And that's MTN Uganda, Uganda Airlines. We have Bank of Uganda, NCBA Bank, of course, the CEO East Africa Magazine, Osera Technologies, and the Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation. If we get more sponsors and I encourage them to come on board, we'll be announcing them as well. Of course, it is important that the theme of the awards is pushing the boundaries and exploring the growth mindset. So some of the conversations we're going to be having today, we'll also be looking into that as well. With us today on the show is a renowned finance professional, Fiona Nuwamanya, FCCA. She'll be telling us what FCCA is and why I cannot use it. Why I can't be Cham FCCA. She's a co-founder, director, as well as a CFO at Rocket Health Africa. And I'm sure those of you guys during COVID, you remember how these guys came to our help by delivering most of these medicines and the vaccines at home. Of course, I know she's won very many awards, but the ones that I know, I'm sure she'll talk about the others. I know that she's the award winner for ACCA Africa CFO of the Year, so she's a continental finance professional. But she's also an award winner at the last edition of the CFO Awards, where she took home the Finance Transformation and Technology Award. And of course, there are many other things, but I'll let her do the talking herself. I think let's start by welcoming her to the show and asking her to tell us about herself. And how did you get here? Did you always want to be a finance professional? Tell us about your journey.
Thank you, Cham. Pleased to be here on this show. Accountants are normally known to be shy and laid back, and they don't like public speaking, but I'll take a shot today. My name is Fiona Nuwamanya, as has already been introduced. I currently work as the CFO of Rocket Health Africa. Just a little background about my childhood experiences. I went to school at Buganda Road Primary School, and later I moved to a school in Nairobi called Makini Primary School. I later transitioned back to Kampala for high school. I went to Nabisunsa Girls School from S1 to S6. And in my A-levels, I studied physics, economics, mathematics. I initially had wanted to do biology and chemistry because that was where my passion was, and wanting to, of course, eventually end up in healthcare. But unfortunately, I was not too good on the biology compared to the mathematics. So yes, I took a path into accounting. I went to Makerere University, completed my bachelor's in business statistics, of which after I immediately joined ACCA to start my certification. I got employed by Ernst & Young straight out of the university. And this was my first formal job, where I worked as an auditor for 3 years. And then I transitioned to Medical Access Uganda Limited as a senior accountant. And then I rose through the ranks to being a finance controller. It is while there that I decided to pursue my master's. I did a master's in business administration from Edinburgh Business School. And then my passion for creativity or entrepreneurship was born while there. After the few years in accounting, basic accounting, senior accountant, finance controller, it's really much about the numbers. And I felt that this is not what I really wanted to do for the rest of my life. I wanted more out of my career. I wanted a disruptive job or role. Yes, and so at that time I discovered that I will not be maybe advancing my career into a big corporate role, but rather taking a path into entrepreneurship. It is about that time when I set out on my journey of self-employment that I came to meet with the other founders and co-founders of Rocket Health, and I joined the partnership at that time. Yes, and here we are, almost 9 years later.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. But I mean, don't worry about being bad in biology. I was also bad in biology. The only difference is that I was also bad at mathematics and physics. So that's how I ended up on this side of
On
the
that
story.
side of the story.
I couldn't count the numbers, but now I am happy I can write about them.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
You telling us your story, it sounds like everything was nice. Uganda Road, Kenya, Uganda. The challenges. Has it been a smooth journey?
No, I don't think anyone who says life has been a smooth journey is telling the truth. Yeah. No, it's not. It's not been a smooth journey. I've always been an average student, but I felt like my dad was a teacher in the early years of my life, and you know how teachers can be, man. The guy would be on you for grades. Yeah. Yeah. So I always felt like he was never satisfied with, the grades you bring home, the report and things like that. But also, I've always been, it's not, I think I don't just end up into the entrepreneurship journey. I've always been curious. And so not really so focused on the academics. I was into sports, I was into music, I was into dance. And yes, in terms of school life, having divided attention maybe is what ended up making me not get the A in biology. But with hindsight, I don't regret. Yes, challenges in the career. Yes, several challenges. Finance now and even in the past has always been a very tricky career. One wrong move can, bring you down, break your career. It's a very high pressure and intensive career. Right from being an auditor, you're pushing 12 to 14-hour days. It's challenging for balancing work, first of all, in the career space, and then more so as a female, family and the like sort of left as secondary. And trying to balance all the balls, family, career, finances. Wow, it's not easy. It's not easy. Yeah. And then, of course, maybe we'll get into more details in terms of exact challenges as a CFO. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I think it's a very important thing. And I mean, one can't help notice that whenever you look at anything that has to do with finance, whether it's the award winners, whether it's big organizations, you can't help. Of course, I know it's changing a little bit. You can't help notice that gender gap. And I mean, having been there over the last 10 years or so, is it now any easier being a female finance professional? And what are some of the key insights you picked that you think could help a young female finance professional who is out there?
So in 2022, a survey revealed that 45% of all auditors and accountants worldwide were female, so which is almost half. But if you look at those who make it or who advance well in their careers, it's really very few women. And even those who are making it are not, women are not very, they're not rising up to, they're shy, to rise up to opportunities when they come to them, or to take up personal branding initiatives, And now is a good time compared to 10 years ago for any female who would like to make it in finance. There's a lot of support. There are very many women-focused career support groups and conferences that apply, scholarships, for women that apply. But the uptake is still really quite low. Women are shy to take advantage of opportunities. They second guess themselves. But also we are extremely taken up by domestic priorities, I should call them, yes, which I don't think has ever been an impediment for men. Yes.
Cool. I think that's a very interesting perspective, and as you said, now is the time to rise up to the challenge. And maybe let's speak about now, and in terms of the finance profession. From your space where you sit, especially in the healthcare space, but in the finance profession in general, what would you say, how have you seen the role of the CFO evolving?
The role of the CFO for the last decade has actually been evolving quite fast. And I feel like we are right in the middle of all these technology advancements and advancements in now, like for me in healthcare, advancement in the industry or the sector, but also changing economic times and dynamics, and this requires a CFO to really be very astute, very agile, especially in ambiguous situations, because our job right now compared to a decade ago, where you knew what your role or your tasks were, down to the detail, 1, 2, 3. I think now the job description is more heavy on any other duties than the actual tasks that are described, And so for a CFO living in these times, you have to really be polishing your shoes every day.
Okay, cool. We ended off where you're talking about the CFO nowadays is being called to do much more than the traditional role of the CFO that we used to know. Now, in light of that, and of course, right now, Uganda as a country, but indeed the rest of the world, we're going through a lot of challenges. Economic volatility. We have the transformation and disruption by technology and AI. Where are the opportunities for the CFOs to stand up and be counted to drive innovation and growth?
It's an interesting question because post-COVID, I think people are looking a lot more to CFOs to be able to know whether the company can survive such an incident again. Many companies, as we know, during that time were not able to survive. And most of these challenges that companies faced, of course, eventually it comes down to, people say that CFO didn't plan well for the company. Although, it's everyone's job. It's the CEO's job. It's the board, the job of the board. But I think now in this multiple crises that we face during COVID, post-COVID, and the disruption from technology is a good time for CFOs to rise to the challenge. CFOs in an organization have a very good bird's eye view of everything happening in the organization, round from operations to strategy to other segments that drive the business. And so the organization, the different stakeholders look to the CFO to assure them, to give assurance of where the company is headed, the direction that needs to be taken. I can tell you that the board really looks to the CFO as an ally to them, support decision making. And the place for the CFO now is to always ensure that there is sufficient data insights to be able to drive the decision making. But as well, CFOs who will make it in this current time and in the future are those who can actually strategically steer the decision making, not provide the numbers for others to make decisions, but you give actually the strategic steer of where the organization needs to go. I think that CFOs are very, very well primed as well to become CEOs and to start leading organizations, because after being in a position of a CFO and you have a good eye view of all the different wheels that move the organization forward, you're best placed to become a CEO. And so I encourage every CFO out there to try to position themselves for the next step.
Mm-hmm. Any particular tips you'll give to some CFOs in terms of, course, the world is changing and changing fast, and nowadays there's nothing like this is how we do things in Uganda, because I think things are now global. Any particular tips you give to to CFOs, especially the upcoming professionals, in terms of how do you prepare yourself to always remain relevant?
Yes, I think this is always my best segment. Because there's a lot of advice looking back to how my career has evolved from, things I think I could have done differently or better. I always advise people in my team, the members that I work with, to keep learning. I think personal development cannot be substituted for anything. Being open to learning and growing is what will propel you forward. But secondly, also, I think as accountants, we've been shy on personal branding and taking up, jumping at opportunities and showing people that, hey, here I am, I can do this, I can do this. Traditionally, accountants have been, back office, but times have changed, with social media and the way the globe is working. Visibility is important, yes, and so I encourage accountants to take up opportunities that give them this visibility, because this can propel their careers. Yes.
Okay. I think one thing that I mean, like you've alluded to, looking back at your career, is there any other things that you think you'd have done different, or you think you're on the right path, or rather on the right path? Because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there, okay, they say they want to be professional, maybe a finance professional, and they think doing an FCCA or being called FCCA is just enough to get you where you want to be. Looking back, I'm sure there are things you look back like, okay, I think here I could have messed up, and what would you love to share with the other professionals out there?
Yes, I think it's important, first and foremost, to have your, of course, professional qualifications, which is what gets you into the door, if you understand the technical background of the work that you do. But from there on, it's different things that you have to do. You need to brush up your soft skills. Soft skills such as public speaking, which for me had always been a weakness. And if you're asking of regrets, if I had worked on this skill maybe earlier in my career, I would be in a different place or position now. But nonetheless, it's never too late to brush up on these soft skills. And then, of course, changing skills. Like now we are talking about technology advancement. How good are you with, adapting to different tools, AI, data-driven analytics, using different tools to guide decision making. And so for me, I think that right now, if in terms of regrets, yes, it's around maybe the skills that should have been polished up earlier. But it's never too late, because it's a lifelong learning journey. Yes. Yeah. FCCA, for the record, stands for being a fellow. under the ACCA. A fellow of the Association of Certified Chartered Public Accountants, yes. And this is obtained once if you've completed your ACCA certification, if you have 5 years of demonstrating completion of certain milestones in your career. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're able to be awarded a fellowship status.
Okay,
yes.
Okay. Interesting. So as a CFO, as a leader, what would you say is your leadership style? And any particular things that you value as a person, and how have these helped you to build successful teams?
Yes, I'm more of a strategic steer, meaning I show the way, and then people are allowed to get there by themselves. I do a lot of mentorship and coaching, especially in early on. I like to teach, so show you how something can be done, and then describe to you the eventual end of where I would like to get, and then I let the teams work by themselves. I am very I like to think I'm people focused, but I don't know what my teams would say. But I try to invest in getting to know different people in my team personally. And for a long time, I did this thing called Director's Hour, where I take someone out for lunch, maybe once a month, someone in my team, and then we can just talk about work, talk about your challenges, talk about family, home, yes, and where you expect to see yourself in a couple of years. And then that helps me to know if I, need to apply myself in terms of supporting you further in the organization. Yes, and I think I've been successful with a couple of members in my team who have encouraged to grow, and I'm happy that I've seen them grow into from one role to another, and now leading certain teams in other organizations as well.
There's somebody who talked about brutal execution, because at the end of the day, certain things must be done, and sometimes brutal execution, and people watching, they could forgive me, because I feel there's something with the Gen Zs. When it comes to accountability, results, numbers, and getting, how do you balance that, being a nice person who smiles and being good to people, but at the same time holding them accountable to getting things done? I feel, and I think that could probably be why most people used to say like finance people are always like grumpy or something, because there was a feeling of like, for me to get you to do things, I must look angry,
yes.
so, and like scare you. So how do you keep smiling, but at the same time get people to not feel like their mental health, like the Gen Zs like to say, is being compromised? Yes.
Yeah, I think for the longest time, actually, at Rocket Health, in the management team, people would say like the CFO is the one with the face, which you don't want to encounter. Yeah, but it's just that finance executives need to be empathetic, but we need to be, at the same time, we need to be ruthless, because things have to get done, and there is no for finance roles or finance work, there is rarely ever any room to play around, if I should say. Yeah. So we have to be very decisive as CFOs. We have to be very, much as we have to be, to worry about the team or to care about their feelings and to be empathetic, first and foremost, work needs to get done, because at the end of it all, an organization rises or falls on how good its finances are performing. Yes.
So, guys, you heard it. Work has to be worked, like it is said. And maybe now this is the part where you get to talk about quickly about Rocket Health Africa. I'm sure for those who don't know, and maybe those who are not in Africa or those who are not in Uganda, you tell us a little bit about Rocket Health Africa. What do you do, and what are you good at?
Rocket Health is involved in telemedicine services. We provide last mile lab services and pharmacy deliveries coupled with consultations, convenient consultations wherever you may be across the country. You can call us over the phone or get us on chat, and you're able to speak to a doctor, and you'll be able to receive a lab service at a place which is convenient for you, and a pharmacy delivery. We have gone through several changes, and obviously during COVID was a very good time for us. Much as we had been here a long time, the company started in 2011, much as we'd been here all that while, it's not until COVID that many people got to know about us, even in Kampala. I can tell you that during COVID, some of our numbers in terms of growth were upwards of 3,000% in terms of consultations and different services that we provide. During that time as well, we hit our highest ever revenue, upwards of $2 million. And we were among the few companies in Uganda that have managed to raise private equity from outside this country.
All right. Of course, amongst the very many key achievements we mentioned earlier, you are one of the winners of the Finance Transformation and Technology Award 2023. And maybe share with us the journey to the winning. How did you emerge winning, and basically the whole process? And then what has the winning done for you? Have you gotten value out of it?
Interesting question. Yes. So my journey to getting a CFO award actually started a couple of years back. For the record, I've attended all the 7 CFO awards in Uganda. But really, I was more or less escorting other people. In 2022, my team at Rocket Health nominated me for a couple of awards. But I was not successful. I didn't even make it to the first shortlist. I was nominated again last year in 2023 for 2 categories, one being the Young CFO Award. Young CFO Award is given to outstanding CFOs that have displayed success below, I think, 40 years old. And then the other was Finance Transformation and Technology Award. The process included a nomination, which someone has to write, has to complete certain questions, or to be able to display and give evidence of why they think that you are fit for this award or to be recognized. After that, the team at ACCA and Deloitte sit together and they sieve, or they shortlist. So I came out in the shortlist, and then we were able to we were scheduled to meet a panel of judges. I was unprepared to meet this distinguished panel of judges. Actually, in my mind, I thought it would be, like people from math. Math is where most of us studied our ACCA here, and, like it would be technical or, yes. But it was really quite distinguished members, professionals in this market, including the CEO of Standard Chartered Bank, the CFO, the head of finance of IDI, and a couple of other people. And during this interview, we had to give evidence or to demonstrate what it is that we have done in our careers that put us, in the lead to win this award. And thereafter, the judges are the ones who select from all the candidates that they meet. They select who the winner is. So yes, I was crowned the award winner for this category in the 7th CFO Awards. And this award came with so much publicity that I had not expected before. I hadn't anticipated, but I had never even thought I would be able to get in my career. Because, as an entrepreneur, you're not doing it for awards. Yes, you're really doing it for other things. But I was very honored to be selected to take this award. And from there on, I told myself that I would spend this year supporting other people who would want to rise or to show and to demonstrate their efforts in this direction. I have personally in this 8th CFO Uganda Awards nominated 2 people who I personally supported since I won my award, to be able to demonstrate their leadership. Yes. The award brought with it, like I said, a lot of publicity. Since then, I've entered spaces that I hadn't entered before. I've been invited to several conferences and seminars to be a thought leader. I was featured in the Global Economic Survey, giving insights about the economy in Uganda, but also particularly about my industry, healthcare, and where I see it going in the next few years. I also believe that winning the award is what put me in the top run for the All Africa CFO Awards, where in December, 3 months later after the Uganda CFO Awards, I did scoop 2 awards actually, which is Africa SME CFO Award and then the overall CFO of the year for Africa. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So I think you've had the importance of being okay. This is not really about participating in the awards. I think because in marketing we usually say it's one thing when you say I'm great, but it's a totally different thing when your peers or a third party says so and so is great. So it carries more meaning. Because so I think whenever an opportunity does come to participate in such awards, it's something you need to grab by the horns. I know it's, and very quickly, there's something you mentioned about balancing, work-life balance, especially if you're a finance professional, but then you're also a mother, or you are female. I think you talked about things like balancing the domestic priorities, and of course, a priority is a priority. Just to paint an insight into a day in the life of Fiona Nuwamanya, or maybe a week in the life. How is it like? Because then that could give us an insight to how you balance things. Yeah.
Last year, I changed my perception from work-life balance to work-life integration, as people are calling it now, because trying to achieve a balance it's elusive. A balance is elusive, as I learned earlier on in my career. So for me, I try to just. I don't think there's a hack, but I try to just keep everything going. If I need to go to a meeting and thereafter I need to take my son to the hospital, I would go with him to the office and then from there go to the hospital. Or if I need to work from home, I would choose that option over anything else. So yes, adapting to finding ways to integrate the different pieces of your life. If I need to take care of my parents or to run an errand for them or for someone, how can I do that while on the go? I can't. I'm not someone who prefers prioritization over integrating. Yes. So as much as I can, I try to integrate the different scenarios into my day. Yes. If I'm having a busy day and maybe I've been getting home late and I can't see my son on a random day, I would just pick him and go for lunch, have lunch, and then let him be taken back home.
Okay. So later it's about pushing the boundaries and keeping the eye on the growth.
Yes.
Okay, great. Maybe as we wrap up, over time, and you have a very interesting, you've had an interesting career from working for others to working for yourself. And we know how hard it is being a CFO of a startup. And what has been some of the key, like your top 5 or maybe top 3 key lessons that you picked up that you think are very, very important?
Oh, top three. 1, I think that, 1, you have to always try to get support. Don't try to wing everything. Yeah. Get people into your corner. Who can support you, who can give advice, If you're a CFO, you need to have people who will always be in your corner, if it's the CEO, if it's the board, if, certain people on the board, if it's people at home who need to support you with, the domestic priorities we're talking about, or if it's even people within your team, because like within my team, I know there are people who, if there's a crisis and I call them at midnight, they are willing to sort it out, So don't try to be a be all and do all. Yeah. So I think that's for me first and very important. 2 is to strike the iron while it is hot, when opportunities come to you. So like when I was invited for this podcast, I had an opportunity to say no. But when opportunities come to you, I think you need to strike the iron and you need to rise to the occasion. However difficult, it is. I prefer on any given day to be behind my laptop. Not on a podcast. Yes, but I think CFOs need to rise to the occasion, rise to a challenge, challenge yourself, push the boundaries, go out of your comfort, leave a mark, in the things that you do. I think that CFOs with an entrepreneurial perspective are in demand. Although we cannot always have been born entrepreneurs, you can develop within you the skills that make you have the entrepreneur.
Okay, thank you very much, Fiona. I think that was very interesting. One key takeout, and again, for lack of, and not that my Uganda is good, but I think that's the best way to put it. That don't die in the thing, alone. Tofira mushintu. And I think one key insight there is also that for you to be able to have people that you can run to when you need them, you also need to have supported them or built them. Otherwise, if you want to become the only star in the team, when the time comes for you to call for help, you'll...
When there's a crisis, you'll most likely break.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I think you need to build allies. Yeah, basically, because you never know when there's going to be a war. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Thank you very much, Fiona. That was very interesting, interesting conversation. I have learned a lot. And of course, I would like to thank, as we sign out, I'd like to thank Deloitte Uganda and ACCA Uganda for helping us put together this first season of the playbook, of the CFO playbook, where we get to hear what happens a lot in the finance profession and how they make things happen, in the hope that we will help other finance professionals refine and quicken maybe their journey to financial leadership. Thank you very much.
CFO Playbook by CEO East Africa Magazine in association with FCCA Uganda and Deloitte, with support from MTN Uganda, Uganda Airlines, NCBA Bank, Bank of Uganda, Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation, NPS TV, and Oscilla Technologies.